Hi there, I'm Dr. Andrea Shanowski, and I've got a special guest today, Miss
Tori.
We are going to be making a crispy carrot salad today. So first we're going to make a dressing, and then we're going to chop up some ingredients and mix it into the dressing. So this is very similar to a coleslaw, except it's using apples, carrots, and some other tasty treats. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to grab a bowl, which I forgot to do already. We are going to need 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise. We're going to need 2 tablespoons of Dijon mustard. We're going to use Grey Poupon because we're fancy. We're going to use 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. And also we're going to do 2 tablespoons of honey. Then we're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon pepper, and then we're going to use matchstick carrots. Now, you can use and actually do a larger recipe. I'll put both down below of 2 bags of this, but since it's just us for lunch, we're just going to use 1 bag. So if you wanted to double this recipe, you're going to use 1.5 times the ingredients of the liquid for the dressing. So we're going to use 1 10-ounce bag of matchstick carrots. We're going to cut up 1 red apple into matchstick shapes. And then we're also going to have 1/2 cup of chopped pecans, 1/2 cup of raisins, and 1 tablespoon of fresh parsley. So Tori, we're going to need 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise. So I'll scoop it and you can dump it. There's 1. Here, do this. There you go. And then we're going to do 2. Perfect. And then we're going to need 2 tablespoons of Dijon fancy mustard. Oh, that's not going to fit. Let me grab a spoon. It's too big. Okay. So that should be about 1. Perfect. And we're going to do, oh, hold on. Let me add a little bit more. 2. And then we need 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. You want to hold that over and I'll just pour it in? We'll shake it up because it's got all the solids in the bottom. That's the best part is the apple cider vinegar. 1. 2. Perfect. And then we're going to do 2 tablespoons of honey. Now this is the super sticky part. So you just hang that there. 1. Perfect. Ooh, if you put the apple cider vinegar in there first, the honey just slides right off. And 2. Perfect. Now we need 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Here, I'll take this. Got it? Oh, it didn't slide that well, huh? That time it didn't slide very good. And then we are going to do 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So you want to hold that over the bowl. Yeah. 1. Okay, 1/2 teaspoon. And then we're going to do we're going to do 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, but I'm going to do 1/2 of the 1/2. There we go. Perfect. Okay. Now we've got our dressing mixed up. We need to mix it up. So we're going to use our whisk, and we're going to do it very slowly because this stuff is going to be stinky. So go keep it nice and slow. Perfect. So we're going to mix it up. Great job. Awesome. That looks great. Ooh, look at that. You can see all the different colors mixing together. Good job, Tori. Okay, we got our dressing ready. And then we're gonna leave that in there. We're gonna set that to the side. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to take our matchstick carrots, which they're already cut up, so we don't need to do anything with those. But we do need to twist our apple. Can you count your ABCs? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Whose name starts with H? No, I don't know anybody. Henry, maybe? Do we know a Henry?
No.
When I was younger, we used to do a trick where when you would take the stem off your apple, you would say your ABCs, and whoever's name started with that letter was thinking about you. So we'll have to think about who's got a name that starts with the letter H. We'll think about it. Or, if you're watching this video, comment below if your name starts with H because we're thinking about you and vice versa. Okay, so we're going to chop these up into matchstick carrot shapes. I'm not going to slice my finger on this one. I am famous for slicing my finger while I'm cutting things. I always do that, don't I? That's why we have Band-Aids very close to the kitchen, because Mom is kind of crazy, huh?
Yeah, you cut your finger.
Remember that one time you came into the kitchen and you said, Mom, what's wrong? And I told you I cut myself and you got me a Band-Aid and put it back together again?
Yeah.
You were a really good helper that day. Actually, yeah, I think actually I have a slice in one of my nails right now because when I was slicing it slipped and got the top of my nail. So it didn't bleed, but there's a good chunk out of my nail. I should probably take a knife skills class. I don't think it would really work because I tend to go kind of quick, don't I? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, then eat one. Not the ones I'm chopping though, because I don't want to cut you on accident. Is that a good size? Yeah. Okay, so we're chopping all of our apple up here. Do you remember where we got these apples from? The apple orchard. Yeah, we picked these apples last time we went to Chris Orchard with, I just heard they close not, actually I think it's this Saturday. This Saturday is, I think, is their last day. So they're closed for Thanksgiving and then they are open Friday, Saturday. So if you want to get stocked up on apples or squash or jams, which I know we're running low on that blackberry jam I like. And I always like to stock up on the apple barbecue sauce because that's my favorite. We'll probably have to go out to Chris Orchard one last time and stock up on cider and stuff. Okay, no more eating our recipe here. Okay, so we're going to set the rest of our apple aside. And then we're going to take our dressing. And I want you, can you pick up those apples and put them in there? Perfect. And then I'm going to cut, actually I ripped this open. So we've got our apples in there. You're doing great. Awesome. Some of those are probably a little bit bigger, but I like crunchy apples, so I think it'll be fine. Good. Okay, got them all in there. Here's the carrots. Can you throw those in there?
All of them?
Mm-hmm, all of them. Yep, all of them, all of them. Perfect, look at that. Okay, and then we're gonna mix them up. Hold on, we gotta add our pecans. We're gonna do half cup pecans.
I'm gonna scrape up a little bit.
Where's my half cup at?
We might have used it already.
Might have used it already, okay. Well, we were cooking earlier, so we're gonna use a third cup instead. We're not gonna fill it up all the way. Okay, we're gonna take, go ahead and set that down. I'm gonna have you hold this and I'll pour the pecans in there. So half a cup, I'm using a third cup. Perfect. And then we also need raisins. So hold that cup again over there. We used raisins for the bread pudding we made the other day, that's why. Okay. We're gonna take our raisins. Hold on, I gotta fill it up all the way. It's okay if there's a couple extra falling off. That's good. Oh, did you eat that one? Perfect. Okay, now we need to mix it up. I don't think the whisk is going to work for this part, so let me grab something different. Actually, let's use this. I think this will work better. Okay, let's not crush it. Let's take this out of the way, and then we're going to flip it and flip it and flip it. Okay, oh, hold on, let go. Let me flip it, and then you can continue mixing. We want the dressing to cover everything, so we're just going to keep mixing and mixing until it's all put together. And this will be part of our lunch today. Look at that. So it's got the carrots and the apples and the pecans and the raisins and the yummy dressing on top. Here, why don't we try one of these ones? Ooh, that's kind of good. Can you try some of these? That dressing's so good. I think it tastes tasty. So, that's our carrot salad for today. If you wanted some healthy Thanksgiving recipes, oh, we forgot to put the parsley, you're right. So we're not going to put it on top, we're going to just rip it. That's what we forgot. We need 1 tablespoon. Oh, see these little green things? No, you're just taking the little green leaves off. We don't put the whole thing in. So about a tablespoon.
Totally forgot.
I totally forgot. That's okay. So that's our carrot salad. We're going to add some more parsley on top. And then we will also be having a healthy version of green bean casserole that we're going to be making next. Apparently we're going to snack and add some more parsley. I think that's about a tablespoon. I think that's good. That's good. That's enough. You're going to eat the parsley? Hey, whatever. Okay. We'll see you in just a little bit with our green bean casserole. We are back today with our green bean casserole with crispy shallots. So, we had some trouble finding some ingredients in the store. I know it's right before Thanksgiving, so there wasn't any fresh green beans left in the store. There was one lady that got the last pack. So we're going to go through our ingredients first. So we are going to need olive oil because we're going to be taking our shallots. You'll need about either 4 large shallots or 6 medium to small size shallots. We're going to be slicing those into rings and frying them to go on top of the green bean casserole. We will also need some fresh beans, or if you can't find fresh beans, we're going to be using the French cut style that are canned. We're going to use about 4 of them. So it's either 1.5 pounds of fresh green beans, and you can use string beans for that. We're going to use the French style. We're going to use 4 cans of it. Then we're also going to need button mushrooms, which we are going to go ahead and slice up into little tiny pieces. And then we're also going to take the rest of our shallots that we don't use for the crispy onion rings on top. We're going to put them in there too. We'll also need 6 cloves of garlic. I keep minced garlic in the house, so we're going to use about 3 tablespoons of minced garlic. We are also going to need 1 tablespoon of chopped fresh thyme. I keep dried thyme at my house, so we're going to use some of that instead. We're also going to need 3 cups of milk, 3 tablespoons of flour to make a roux. And then we're also going to use 1/3 cup Parmesan cheese, and then you're also going to put a little bit more on top of the casserole. And then we're going to also use some fresh parsley on top of the casserole, a little bit of nutmeg, and some salt and pepper. So we're going to get started with slicing our shallots, and I'm going to fry those up, and then we'll come back. Okay, so I've got our shallots chopped up in little rings here. I've got some smaller pieces in the middle. We'll probably use some of those when we do the rest. But we're going to go ahead and fry these onions up. Stand back. There's lots of... Or you should probably get down there. Let's turn that heat down a little bit. So this is going to fry these onions up really nice. And then... Let me turn this fan on. Otherwise, my smoke detector likes to go off. And we just want them nicely browned. Let me stop it. Alright, so now we're chopping up our mushrooms here because we got our shallots nice and crispy, which I'll show you a picture of those guys. And we are just chopping up these mushrooms into small little pieces. Now, my husband mentioned that he goes, don't put any mushrooms in mine. I said, well, did you not know that every other time that we have green bean casserole, there's mushrooms in it? So, if you have somebody that doesn't like mushrooms, I will tell you, it's normally in there anyways when you make it with like a cream of mushroom soup. I know I've seen some people have made it with like cream of chicken and stuff like that. We're going to do it a little bit different today. I think one time I didn't have any cream of mushroom soup, so we made it with some broth and some milk and some flour, which is kind of what we're doing for this recipe. So just a little bit different take. So we're going to go ahead, we're chopping up our mushrooms here. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to fry up the mushrooms, and we're also going to fry up some garlic, and we're also going to put some of our thyme in there as well. And then once that's all done cooking, we are going to mix up the milk and flour, get that cooking up with the Parmesan cheese, and then we should be about ready to combine everything up and throw it in the oven for our green bean casserole. So first step was cut the shallots into rings and chop those up, fry them, so we did that already. Now we're chopping up our mushrooms into small pieces, and we're also going to be putting our garlic together with mushrooms. So if you have fresh garlic, You'll want to chop that up into like a minced size. I personally like to keep a jar of minced onions in the house, or minced garlic in the house, so that's what we're going to use. I know, they're not like crazy small. I'm trying to chop them up small, but they'll shrink a little bit when we cook them anyways. And then people don't even know that there's mushrooms in there, right? Did you ever hear a joke about mushrooms?
No.
Grandpa Daryl used to say that he was a fun guy every time he made mushrooms. Because mushrooms are called fungi, so he always said he was a fun guy. You just got mushrooms on the cat? Awesome. I'm sure he will enjoy that when he licks himself off later. Okay, so we're going to take our mushrooms. I'm going to scooch those over towards you. I'll keep going on these guys, but you can put those in. So we're chopping up our mushrooms, and then we're going to fry up these mushrooms with some garlic and some thyme. And then we should be able to combine everything together with the green beans and our liquids. And then we should be able to bake it. So basically you're just doing all the prep work. So instead of just dumping cans together, although we are using cans for the green beans, you are going to be making some of these with fresh ingredients, or as fresh as possible, shall we say. Because everybody knows that when farmers make stuff and you have stuff coming to your grocery store, it's not always right fresh off the farm, is it? Yeah. Oh, the mushrooms, yeah, they do shrink when you cook them. So even if some are a different size, it's okay because they will shrink down, right?
Yep. We don't care however you cut them, they'll shrink from you cook them.
Right, yeah, they'll shrink a little bit, so they'll be small. So you're not going to get like a gigantic bite of mushroom or anything. That's why some people didn't even know that there's mushrooms in green bean casserole.
That's like a block.
Oh, well, break it apart then. Maybe it didn't cut all the way through. And you can wash your mushrooms before you cut them up. I typically wash them afterwards, just because I've had a time before where some of the dirt was inside of the mushroom, like underneath the gills. So I usually do it after I chop them up. So we are going to rinse these mushrooms off before we throw them in the pan with the garlic.
Sure there's no dirt in them.
Right, exactly. Okay, we got all of our mushrooms chopped up. I'm going to put our fixins here. Oh, don't forget to preheat your oven. I always forget to do that. So you'll want to bake these at 375. You're going to bake it about 20 minutes because all this is going to be cooked already. You're just basically warming it up in the oven. If you are using fresh green beans, you will have to steam them. So if you're using fresh green beans, you will need to steam them until they are bright green and still crisp. So typically when you cook green beans are going to turn a brighter green color. So when they get to that brighter green color but are still crisp, that's when you want to stop steaming those. So if you have fresh green beans, after you chop up all your stuff, now is the time that you'd want to steam your green beans, or if you're using canned like we are, you're going to go ahead and just basically drain your green beans. So we are going to do mushrooms, garlic, and thyme next in the pot and kind of cooking this together. Then we'll put the green beans, mix it all up. Then we'll put some of the shallots, we'll save some of the fancy ones. And then we're going to go ahead and assemble everything. So we got our mushrooms done. Our shallots are cooked already. Now we just need to wash our mushrooms and cook them. All right, so now we have our mushrooms, which have been washed. I did take some of the bigger chunks of the shallots that I fried earlier, and I put those together here. And then we're also going to put some garlic, and like I said, I use dried thyme, but you can also use 1 tablespoon of fresh. So we're going to take our mushrooms, which are still slightly damp, and we're going to throw them here in the pan. So you want to make sure you get as much water out, or you can just wash them ahead of time. But like I said, I've had some dirt inside of my mushrooms, so I usually do it after I chop them up, so I make sure they're nice and clean.
You wash them on?
I did wash them, yeah.
Now even it's so watery.
Yeah, there's just a couple drips here. Now, if you look in here, this is why I wash them after, because all of this dirt was inside of the gills. So I usually wash them after I chop them. Alright, now what we're going to need to do, so you can use 6 cloves of fresh garlic in a minced format, I'm going to estimate that this will be about 2. So I'm going to use 3 tablespoons of minced garlic. 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm going to use a teaspoon, I think, of dried thyme. So here we go. That's half and half. So we've got thyme, we've got garlic, we've got mushrooms, and a little bit of the shallots in here too. We're just going to cook this down until it shrinks, is what I like to say. Mushrooms tend to get more of like a darker color when you cook them. So I usually just kind of cook until it shrinks down into smaller sizes. Then the next step is going to be making basically the milk mixture with the flour. So we're going to cook this down and then we'll come back. Okay, so while we've got our mushroom mix still going, I'm going to start the milk mixture. So we have 3 cups of milk, which Tori helped me pour. And we're going to put in 3 tablespoons. 1, 2, 3 tablespoons of flour. And then we're going to whisk that together and we're going to cook it until it is thickened. And then we're going to add in some of our other ingredients like our parmesan, and I'm going to probably put the nutmeg in here too, and the salt and pepper as well. So just whisk that together, and then we're going to let that cook. I've got it on high until it starts kind of thickening up a little bit. So basically you're going to make kind of like a roux. And then we'll come back. Alright, so our mushrooms are nice and shrunk down. We still got our big chunks of garlic in here. We're going to add this into our green beans that Miss Tori already put in. Let me grab a pot holder first real quick because this pot tends to get pretty hot here. And we're going to add our mushroom and garlic in on top of our green beans. And then we've still got our milk mixture going over here too. So we've got the milk. It's not quite thickening just yet. It's starting to get a little thicker on the bottom here. And once that's thickened up a bit more, I'll probably have to add, I'm probably going to put a little bit of butter in here or a little bit of oil in here. Because usually when it comes to making a roux, you typically need some type of butter or oil, like a fat that you have in there. Then you put your flour and your milk together to make that roux and have it kind of thicken up. So I'll probably add a little bit of oil in here. Normally, if you have anything left over from your mushrooms, which I did not, but I'm going to add a little bit of oil in here just to help that thicken up a little bit. So we're just waiting for this to thicken up and the fats to kind of congeal together with everything. There we go. It's starting to get a little thicker. I think it just needed a little oil was all. Like I said, I didn't have any oil left after my mushrooms were done. They kind of dried everything up since they were slightly moist. Alright. Starting to bubble on the edges, and then it's going to get higher here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw my parmesan in here. So I will need about a 1/3 cup of parmesan. So I'm going to pour that while I'm over here. So we're going to, oh, that's big chunks. That's not what I wanted. So I'll put my parmesan in here. Okay, so I've got this milk and flour and cheese and nutmeg and salt and pepper mixture all mixed up here. I've got it poured on top of our green beans. I'm just kind of moving everything around here. And we've also got our mushrooms and our garlic in here, so I'm just mixing it up really good. And then we're going to put some parmesan and some parsley on top. So that is about done there. And then it should be ready for the oven.
Bye-bye.
One other thing I wanted to add, because I forgot, is you saw me cooking in cast iron. Now, cast iron has some benefits to it. So number one, you get an iron pan that distributes the heat very well. It's great at searing and even handling high temperatures without burning your food, because the heat gets distributed evenly. But the other great thing about cast iron is you also get some iron in your food. So if you're anemic or your iron level is low, I usually recommend cooking in cast iron to help make sure that you're getting better iron in your bloodstream and helping your body make hemoglobin and helping your body carry oxygen so you're not getting as fatigued. I have 2 cast iron pans. I have one that you saw me cooking with, and I have another one that has the ridges on the bottom for searing. I'm going to show you what I do to take care of mine. So when you wash cast iron, you don't really want to use soap. Usually I will use just like the nylon side of a sponge, or I've got a nylon brush that I'll use to scrub everything off. So what you want to do is after you have washed your cast iron pan, if there's any water left into it, you want to turn the stove on and let it completely evaporate. And then you want to take care of your pan. Typically, I like to use Crisco. I just put it on like a paper towel and just kind of rub it in. The other thing I found that works really good is these crispy sticks. They also make a puck style as well. But what you're going to do is after you get your pan nice and heated, I usually turn the heat off. And then I will take a little scoop of Crisco, about that much. So I would say probably about a tablespoon, maybe a tablespoon and a half. And then I just rub it into my pan. So I just want to make sure every single surface is coated so it's nice and shiny. It's got a nice barrier on it. So next time I cook, it's already ready to go so I can heat it up and start cooking right away. Normally you want to use either some butter or oil. Like I said, I usually keep putting a layer of Crisco or the crispy stick on there. The crispy stick has a higher temperature rating when you're heating a pan. I'm not one that talks about seasoning in the oven. Typically, I just do this. Heat the pan up, rub some oil on it, do it a couple times, and then just, again, when you're cleaning, you don't really want to use soap. They do have chain metal or like chain link like sponges you can use. I just use a regular sponge or like a nylon bristle brush. If you're having trouble getting anything off at the bottom, if it's been burned on, usually I just use like a pan scraper or a higher temperature water with the nylon brush. So it's like really hot. That'll also help lift off the food if you've got a good seasoning on the bottom. So that's how I season mine. If you are not a fan of cast iron, I'm sorry, but I am. So that's why I use it and how I use it and how I season it.